everybody. Welcome to episode 42 of the Corner Blue. I'm Andres Rico, and I'm here with Hugo Alvarado, and we're here with yet another episode leading up to the U.S. El Salvador match on the new and latest CONCACAF qualifying window. How you doing, Hugo?
Doing great. I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow. Very excited. It's been a long time, since we played the last game. It feels like it, at least, even though we had the friendly matches in December. But I'm really, really looking forward to three very, very difficult matches, especially the one tomorrow, a match that is crucial for us in our hopes to stay alive and continue fighting for the upcoming World Cup.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the next three, obviously, you got to take each game one game at a time. You're hoping that they have a solid performance against the U.S., considering that this team seems to have risen to the occasion against all the teams that they faced. It's still pretty level, I feel, throughout the 8 teams in this round. Unfortunately for La Selecta, as we all know, just certain pivotal moments haven't gone their way, and it's led to either missing out at most of the points at home. And I got to recover some of them. So let's see how it goes with the U.S. I'm excited too. The only thing I'm, a little concerned about is some of the guys that have gone down to, due to COVID, and then some of the guys that are questionable due to injuries. But again, it's that time of year. All the teams are kind of going through something similar in terms of guys not being rusty if they're on the off season. Or just the weather in itself. There's all these factors that I feel everyone is kind of going through, especially with this Corona stuff. But before we get into the U.S. El Salvador match, y'all called us out on it. Hugo totally forgot to talk about the anecdote with the Chilean scout when he went to go see La Selecta last. So before we get into all that, I'm asking Hugo, will you share that story with us? So, because you left us on that cliffhanger. I haven't slept since then.
We kind of went off on other things,
tangent,
and the episode was getting too long, so I forgot to share. But what I wanted to share is that I've been friends with the Chilean national team scout for a while, for I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. And basically, he would reach out to me every now and then whenever he found a Salvadorian player, because he does similar things to me. And
like in Australia, that type of stuff, because they have a big community out there too.
Yeah, I think Jan Tapia was one of the players in common that we both found, and he was following him for Chile, and then I was following him for El Salvador. But anyways, for the game last December, we got to meet. Finally, we exchanged jerseys, and that was was a nice moment. He actually complimented El Salvador and said, he told me that the result, the fair result, would have been a 0-0. But what I wanted to share is that a lot of fans, us included, maybe sometimes, we think that other teams don't take those friendly matches seriously. We think that it's outside of the. Some people think, well, they don't really care about playing against El Salvador. They're just gonna, whatever. Or if the game is outside the window, the FIFA window, and they bring their B squad, people say, well, Chile or Argentina or whatever, they don't really care about this match. They're just trying to get it done and make their money or whatever. But to my surprise, in talking to him, I know he's very knowledgeable, and I know the type of following that he does for Chile, for players, for their own players, as well as the rivals. And I was surprised when he told me, look, I spent hours scouting and analyzing 40 of your potential players that you could bring for this match. And he wasn't exaggerating. He knew exactly what the Macas could do. He knew what Calvillo was capable of doing. He knew every player on the team, every player. He knew who our potential right back could be due to Tamacas not being able to be there. And he told me I just didn't really know what to expect about Renderos because he was not in my 40 players that I had scouted. And he's the scout slash video analyst for Chile. And I just wanted to share that because I don't think I shared this publicly, but I thought it was interesting that La Selecta, it's slowly adding those tools into the national team. I know that our video analyst had also done some of that work ahead of the match for Chile, and I think they both met as well. But it was just for me, it was just like not a wake up call, but I thought it was an interesting subject to share, so people could see that when we play these matches, in fact, even the corner kick, they practiced the way they scored the goal. They had practiced that exact same corner. So it's a very interesting subject. And they didn't do this for the game against El Salvador, but they're actually, as a video analyst for like World Cup qualifiers, he travels with the team for every game. But they're actually sending reports in real time to the coaches down at the field level. So they're recording the matches, they're analyzing the matches, and inputting the game footage straight into a software, and they immediately get to edit a piece and send it to the coaches down at field level so they can see in real time which player in the opposite team is showing a weakness or which area of the field is showing a weakness that they can exploit. So it's crazy. I mean, I knew some of that. I didn't really know the level of detail that he gave me. But the thing that really surprised me was when I talked to him, I mean, I'm serious. He probably knew more than me about our own players, about our domestic league players. Like, they really do their homework. When he told me, I looked at 40 potential players and created reports of all of them for our coaching staff. That told me how seriously they take the matches, whether they have their A squad or there's B squad or their C squad. So next time for the fans that we play a game like that, it's good for us to know that those other teams are not taking the games lightly. They are really taking them seriously and doing their homework ahead of time to play those friendly matches. I thought it was just an interesting anecdote to share.
No, that's pretty impressive. Like, it's not a fluke that they won 2 Copa Americas recently. I remember being at Levi Stadium when they thrashed Mexico 7-0. There's a reason why, I think also what's cool is what you told me where you guys had that level of convivio, between your counterparts. Because I don't know if that necessarily would go down during competitive matches, but it looks like a friendly like this, it gives room for something like that, especially when you have a rapport with the other scout. So that's awesome that you had that opportunity and got to see the inner workings of a powerhouse like Chile. And that's why I think things have evolved in a sense where, because FS Food has taken certain risks or has done some things that's been counterintuitive to Salvadoran soccer in general. I'm not saying that, the current administrative department or the wing of the FS Food is doing everything perfectly. I am very aware of their faults, and their faults to me kind of prevail. But despite that, just being able to hire the right people, just being able to bring in other people, different ideas, delegate certain work and jobs to different people, you're starting to see investors being interested in supporting a Selecta, which only opens more doors to more tools, more personnel. Like you mentioned, Jerson published earlier a post on Twitter of how he and his video analyst have been breaking even just trainings down for the staff, which is vital. And he mentioned on here that, sometimes all they need is a plane ticket, down there to get work. Cause, we know the type of budget that the FESFUT is handling currently. But I think these small baby steps help in terms of, okay, we can start maybe expecting something different and considering these changes. And among those were this training camp that just ended or will end as of tomorrow. Hugo, can you talk to us a little bit about that training camp, how it went, where they were, the facilities? I saw there were photos of even like cryotherapy going on, which seems very apropos considering these guys need to get adjusted to playing in the climate that they're going to be playing in tomorrow.
Yeah. Props to FESFUT for organizing that camp. I think it was important for the coaching staff to have some time, at least 5 days, to be able to train under the same conditions in which they're going to play the game tomorrow. So the team was able to get the same facilities where the Indiana Colts do their preseason in Westfield, Indiana. That's actually where Eric Zabaleta grew up. So that was like his backyard. I think he
nice
knew
homecoming.
He knew that field really well. It's a complex that had, I think, 35 or 37 soccer fields,
wow.
Outdoor soccer fields, a few indoor soccer fields, plus, a whole bunch of other things. I think Mexico was there as well prior to playing a game against the U.S. It's about 3 hours away from Columbus, but it's further east, so the temperatures were actually slightly colder on some of the days. They had from what I've heard, the priority was always to train outdoors, but they also had the option to train indoors if the conditions got too bad, like a lot of snow, you can't really train. So they had that option. And I saw, a few pictures where they were training indoors, the morning session and the evening session outdoors. I just think it's great that the federation is supporting the coaching staff in that way and the players in that way, because maybe it's not going to change the result tomorrow, but at least we know, the coaching staff knows, federation knows that they did their part in trying to do the best they can with their limitations to be able to provide all of the tools that the coaching staff requested in order to prepare for this match. So so they spent 6 days in Westfield, Indiana. I can't remember the name of the place right now. I think it's Grand Park Sports Complex or something along those lines. And and then they moved to Columbus a couple of days ago. And so I think it's important so the players don't have that shock. I mean, it's just a state of mind, right? I think that's what the coach said, U.S. national team coach said about the weather. But, it can be a big shock for Central Americans, where the climate, it's warm and it's humid. And then suddenly you get to this freezing temperatures, and it could be a shock. So props to the federation for getting that together for the national team.
Yeah, and latest news out of the camp, there have been a couple of players that have gone down to COVID. It was reported that Cristian Martinez isn't going to be able to be a part of tomorrow's match due to testing positive. Is he back in El Salvador? Do you know? Or did he have to stay?
Cristian has been in El Salvador. So he arrived on a Monday to camp in El Salvador prior to traveling to Indiana. And I think the team traveled on Wednesday, so he trained Monday,
Then he tested
Tuesday,
positive.
and then Wednesday they tested before traveling, and he tested positive. He had been tested prior to that, and it was negative. He tested with his team. Let's remember that he played for his team on Sunday. He played a game. I think they beat Saprissa, I think. And he played all 90 minutes. So they had tested him prior to that. So I think the hope was for him to recover, by Monday this week so he could travel. But apparently he tested positive again. So Clavito Portillo was called in his place. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of teams are going to deal with this. I mean, due to the nature of the variant, or I'm no expert, but from what I hear, it's highly transmissible. So, I mean, fingers crossed that there's no other players infected. And I'm not talking about just El Salvador, but in all the other national teams. And after the first games tomorrow, the first round, there could be more positives with all of the 8 teams competing right now. So it's an unfortunate situation, but it's the reality. That's
Exactly.
that's current times. That's where we live in, and all national teams, their doctors and their coaching staff, they have to be prepared. And some teams, like the United States, they have a huge pool of players to go to. That's not the case for us. But I think the coaching staff has done a really good job at having that plan B if necessary.
Yeah, another player that has, I guess you could say, gone down to COVID is Mario Monterrosa. He wasn't able to travel with the team to Columbus, so he has to wait things out in Westfield, if I'm not mistaken, right, Hugo?
That's my understanding from what I've heard in the news. He stayed there in the hotel until he recovers, and then once he recovers, he's gonna fly back to El Salvador.
Then another questionable player is Eric Zabaleta due to an injury, a foot injury. So we'll see how that plays out. They haven't necessarily said that he's definitely out of the match. So we'll see. I guess they're taking it day by day, hour by hour.
Yeah.
Or might even be some strategy behind it too to keep Berhalter guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I heard the doctor today in an interview. He didn't say much. Like they're not ruling him out, but he did acknowledge that there's an injury. So hopefully Eric can recover. I think he's a very, very important player for us in the back line. But if not, we also have some youngsters there that are waiting. Some youngsters, some others with more experience, like Dominguez, who is still fairly young, but a player with a lot of experience. Yes, he had that mistake against Jamaica, but he still has a lot of miles under his belt for his age, so he's a possibility. Romulo Villalobos, has been doing a pretty good job in the friendly matches. And then we have Vigil, who already played qualifiers, who did well. So there's players that can step up to the occasion and do a good job. But Eric is Eric. The coach has acknowledged that he plays an important part in that back line. But things happen, and coaches have to be ready for that.
Yeah, with Eric in the back, it's a different ball game. Most of the points that have been lost at home, or in general, are in matches when he was out to injury or couldn't complete the 90 minutes. And so, yeah, he's definitely been missed throughout this campaign. But then again, you have to think about the concept of, all right, if he's out and you have one of the younger guys in, maybe you're not ideally going to handle the present match, by putting someone in there that's going to be gaining experience, growing minute to minute. You'd want someone with a little more experience for this type of match, but you have that duality of handling business and present, but this player is leveling up for what lies ahead, and that's a lot. And so despite the possibility of El Salvador being eliminated by the end of this window, these matches still are important in the sense that you're going to see these players develop in front of you, get that experience. They'll remember all this stuff by the time the next campaign starts in 2+ years. So that's the mentality I'm going at with this game. I wish the Uloneta would be primed, tuned up, all the parts there, nice, shiny, waxed, ready to roll. But throughout this campaign, you're in the middle of Corona. You got these 3 match windows where if anybody goes down, they're going to miss a significant portion of this. And I feel like it's hurt this team. Things could have gone either way in pretty much all the matches so far, with the exception of the Canada match. And unfortunately, it hasn't gone in Salvador's way. But that sensation that everybody has, especially on the outside, is that this team is competing. This team is competing for possession, which is something that for spurts of certain games, they're able to do that and shut down their opponents. And so I think if they can continue to do that, we should have interesting matches at US, at Honduras. And then I think that rematch with Canada, that's the one that I've been waiting for, just because I feel like the match in Toronto wasn't a fair reflection of what this team can bring. And more than anything, hopefully we can correct those mistakes, those timely mistakes that have cost this team several points so far. With the US match, what are you looking forward to? What do you think could be the outcome in comparison to other US matches away?
Obviously, history is not in our favor.
The head-to-head is no wins.
It's not in our favor. However, let's remember that we have created some damage here. If I'm not mistaken, the last time we played qualifiers here in the US, we were up to 0 at some point.
Yep.
And we ended up losing the match. Or we were up 1-0.
No. 1-0.
1-0.
And then we lost, I think it was 2-1.
We lost 2-1. And, there are always the rumors about this story that we all know. I think the U.S. is a team that will let us play. Berhalter said today that El Salvador is the out of the 8 teams that they played in the World Cup, according to him, is the team that has pressured them the most up top, like high pressure. So I mean that was interesting, and yes, we know that that's what the Hugo Perez national team has been working on since the Gold Cup, pressuring high up. I think we need a perfect game in a sense. We need a game, although different, but in terms of following the strategy similar to the Jamaica game. It could potentially turn out into a game that is not that pretty, but I think that a game in which we can control the game, the pace of the game, which is going to be tough, and where we have control of the match, it's going to play in our favor. The U.S. is a team that is full of talent. As we know, it's probably the most talented U.S. national team that I can recall I'm 37, but I haven't been following the team for 37 years. But it is, in terms of where their players play, the leagues, it is one of the most talented teams that I've seen. But they're still a young team. And I think that's a good thing for us, at least. We're also a young team. For me, obviously, we need a win to bring our hopes up. I am looking for a good performance a good performance
Same.
of the team. I think that if the team has a good performance, I mean, where we can play our game, there's no secrets about the style. We our players are naturally talented with the ball. If we play a game in which we can control the ball, we can rotate and not so much like long balls or having our center backs just basically throwing everything back. That's not going to be play in our favor. But if we can manage to play with the ball on our feet and have those rotations and try to generate opportunities for our forwards, as much as we can do that and us have the ball and not let the US have the ball so much, I think we can get a good result. And I think a tie, a draw will be a good result. If we get a point, I think that would be a good result. Anything but a loss, I think, will be a good result. Even if we lose, I think if the team plays a good match, one of those matches in which you never want to lose, right? But there are matches that you lose and you're like, hey, we play well. The team play well. The team generated opportunities. The team didn't give up. They continue to try to generate opportunities despite the result. Those are the factors that I'm looking at. Of course, I want points because we need to add points. So I think a tie will be a good result. A win will be an amazing result that we haven't seen in a while. And I don't think it's impossible. I don't think there's anything in football, soccer that's impossible. And who knows? Maybe tomorrow is the day that we make history and we beat the US. I don't think we've been able to ever beat the US in US soil.
The closest thing that comes to mind is the 2012 Olympic qualifying.
The U23s.
Yeah, the U23s where a 3-3 draw felt like a win because we knocked them out of the Olympics, even when they had their plane tickets under their own names because the federation or the Olympic Committee, I think it was the federation that organized, I forget, CONCACAF, had already bought the tickets for the U.S. team ahead of time before the match was even played. And so it was great to see those names crossed out and our players' names written in there. Another match that has been brought up due to the conditions is that I think it was a draw in Canada for the U23s. I think it was in 2004.
Under Juan Ramon Perez.
Yeah, where Cheo hadn't been a part of that process. But then I think due to the rules of allowing, I think, up to 2 older players to be eligible, they were able to bring him in. There was hope that would be enough. And unfortunately, he got a red card during the match. Azul had played 2 men down during that match versus Canada. And I think it went to, was it PKs or did we lose by a PK? I forget because I listened to that on the radio, on the internet.
I don't recall. Honestly, I don't recall that game.
But that was a rebuilding moment. And I always go back to that proceso because that was like the first one that I followed hardcore was Juan Ramon Paredes generation that won the gold medal for the Central American Games. I remember that was a battle. It was a straight up battle. And you look at the pictures later on and you see that these guys had windbreakers on, they're freezing their asses off. And they're mentioning online how, they were drinking coffee during halftime just to stay warm. I think the federation's gone a little far from that in the sense that, you've seen the cryotherapy that the players have been doing. You see that they have better gear this time, even though there's been issues around that with the sponsor. But like you said, it seems that they've gotten the tools that will help them rather than work against, the grain. When it comes to the U.S., the head-to-head series does not favor us at all. But in any type of qualifying campaign, I think it's in the presupuesto, to not get as many points against the U.S., let's say Mexico as well, and then you just try and cash in on everyone else. It hasn't happened to us, unfortunately. Not saying that it's okay to lose tomorrow. What I'm saying is you got to play to win. That's something this coaching staff has instilled in its players. But more than anything, I think this is going to be one of the best tests to the current Salvadoran squad. You're going to have a U.S. audience. So that entails the two leagues that Salvadorans have been emigrating to for the most part in recent history. The two leagues that have been skeptical about Salvadoran players due to the match fixing scandal that still taints, our players' reputation abroad. But if this team, under these circumstances, shows up to this U.S. team and impresses or gets a result, I think this will be that tipping point towards better things to come. This is like the ultimate David Goliath. This is the ultimate, what are you made of? Because you're going way beyond the comforts of a Cusca. The U.S. players don't have to worry about morteros going off or feeling sketched out, being outside their safety zone. This is where our guys technically are the most out of their safety zone in terms of the weather, and they're trying to exploit that. And the whole concept of gerrymandering your national team so that, Salvadorans have a harder time getting to you, that the prices are up. But despite all that, we got people there. I think if they can show up to this match and impress people, things are going to change. And I have a good feeling about it. I truly hope that Zabaleta's in good health, because once the doubts, once the anxiety is out of that back line, it just travels all the way to the front. Because you need that assurance. You need that, I guess, feeling of safety that, the most basic plays will be handled, which I think is something that El Salvador has struggled for years. Is, anytime the ball is close to that 18-yard box, sometimes your impulse is just to cringe and hope for the best because you don't know what's going to happen. That's just how it's been. But when there's that communication or that stability, that experience out of the back, the simple plays stay simple and they don't end up being a significant moment in the match. And I hope that's what we have, is security in the back, so that we don't have to worry about these untimely mistakes that have cost us throughout this campaign. So it'll be exciting. And I really hope for these guys that they get that redemption of taking it to the US, because we've seen how those doors have been shut. I mean, historically, since the 90s, since the beginning of MLS, they've recruited talent from El Salvador. That De Los Cobos first era, the qualifying campaign wasn't even over, and we had guys in MLS. This time around, I would have thought that after Gold Cup, things would have looked positive, and nothing happened. This last winter transfer window, nothing happened, with the exception of Ronan. And ironically, because of trying to get his papers in check and getting his work permit, he doesn't have his passport. He's not going to be on U.S. soil for this match. So I think this is a moment to stick it, to show, look, that generation's in the past. We're going to take it to you guys in the motherfucking snow. I don't care. It's going to be freezing. We'll still take you. And I think this is the moment for that. And I'm excited. Obviously, there's that side to me that is worried of, okay, there's this buildup, right? There's these expectations. And if there's a result that is unfavorable to us, it'll hurt, definitely. But I'm really excited at the possibility of finally being able to turn the page on US eyes, on MLS eyes, because a lot of our guys deserve to go beyond El Salvador's borders and play at a higher level, whether it's MLS or beyond. But I think this is the moment, one of those true tests where you have a lot against you. And you can just tell too that Salvador plays so many matches in the US. You know, it's like a second home. The coaching staff players have mentioned how they love playing here just because of the factor of feeling that love or that heat, ese calor from the fans that is a little more conditional, sometimes hostile at times at home. So they're going to be playing supposedly an isolated zone. Tickets are more expensive. It's going to be harder for our people to get there, but I'm excited to see the turnout and the match itself. So just hold down to your calzones, drink your atol, your chuco, your hot cocoa, whatever you want. But I think it'll be a very exciting match.
Yeah, it's one thing that gives me confidence about this current team, this current group, is that I think there's always talks about that mentality, right? That change of mentality, something that Hugo Perez has said many times, and I think we're seeing it more and more with this young team, where instead of being intimidated by the rival, instead of being intimidated by the historical facts, which yes, they matter, but they don't. Tomorrow they're not going to play. They're not going to be playing. Using all of those factors against you, if you want to put it that way, and take that and turn it into positive energy inside of you, and look at all the great things that can come out of this match. I think for the players, a great incentive, and I know they know this, is that, hey, all right, you're going to be freezing your ass off. The US is going to have the same factors too. But you're playing against guys who are playing in the top leagues of the world. You know, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga,
EPL.
I mean, EPL. So for the Salvadorian guys, this is their opportunity to show, to prove to themselves that they have what it takes to play against those players. That, I mean, that should be the greatest motivation, the greatest factor for our guys. Yes, there's going to be realities of, you know, where those players play every week, every Sunday, versus where most of our players play. I mean, we have one European-based player, that's Enrico, and then the rest, you know, are local-based players and the few guys that we have in MLS and USL. But if the players see all of that, and I'm sure they are, I mean, even us, you know, who play just for fun, you know, we play against teams that perhaps have better support, more support financially. And then you play against them, and then they have a nice field, and then you have a crappy field. You know, you go there, and then you want to play, you want to do well. You want to show those guys that despite being the underdog, you can actually get the job done. So I think it's going to be, it's going to be important that the players have actually, in the week that they've been training under those conditions, that they can manage to get in there and be have their physical bodies ready to play that match. That's one thing. Then after that, I think the players know who they have in front of them, and like I said, it's a motivator factor to know that you're playing against Pulisic, you're playing against Serginho Dest, you're playing against players who are young, but they're playing in some of the best leagues in the world. So what better stage for a soccer player? To me, that is the stage where you show what you're made of. Maybe you're not gonna go to Europe, who knows? But like you said, hey, there's gonna be all eyes of MLS clubs are gonna be there, and this is their opportunity. So I think in that sense, I trust that the current team has that type of mentality. I'm not saying that they're not nervous or have anxiety. I don't know. I mean, that's natural and it
Yeah, it's
happens.
normal.
But I think those guys are going to take all of that and use it in their advantage. And what I think is going to be a key factor for us is that if we get scored on early in the game, that we can manage to regroup our team before they score another goal. That's one of the things that we've seen that has happened to us. It happened against Canada, and I think that's going to be important to have that focus from the beginning of the match and be able to maintain that focus even if we get scored on early on in the game. And like you, I feel confident. I feel confident that we're not going to see a team defending like we've seen in past qualifiers.
Yeah.
A team that parks the bus in the back. We're not going to see that. I don't want to see that. And I don't think we're going to see that with this team under Hugo Perez. I think we play our game no matter who we have in front of us. And I'm sure the coaching staff has done their job and they know the U.S. really well and the U.S. knows us really well. It's going to be a good match. I'm looking for a very entertaining match. And of course, I want a positive result for us.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go on United States of Soccer for Sirius XM FC today, which was pretty cool. I guess shout out to them for reaching out, and Jason Davis for having me. And they asked me, what do you expect from the team? Do you think they're going to play defensively? And I don't, we haven't seen that with Hugo Perez. The team's always going to fight for possession. I mean, they'll make certain adjustments, in the midfield, or is their 9 going to come back and defend, or are they going to use him as a pivot? We've seen those type of tweaks in the past, but no, I told them these guys are going to come with their guns blazing. It's go time. You're not going to go and speculate. That's why we've seen how they prepared for this match. I think when you park the bus up to a point, it's almost like you're leaving things to speculation. You're leaving it up to the other team to control your destiny in a sense. And saying, bueno, hicimos un buen papel, nos vamos con la frente en alto, but you just defended for 90 minutes. Fortunately, that's not going to be the case tomorrow. And that's what I'm excited about. But again, we need that solid back line. We need that connection between the center backs, the fullbacks, and your center mid when it comes to playing out. We need our keepers to be steady footed and make the right passes. We need long possessions and not giving it up as easy. And I think if we can keep that under control and then work on that top third, whether it's with Bonilla, who's back after a long spell away, or if he tries it out with Gil, with Christian, right? That's his name?
Christian.
Yeah. If he tries it out with Christian, or we have Joaquin Rivas up there, but we need to make that final pass in that final third to get, concrete chances at goal. And I think those are the major things. I have confidence in the mid, it's just like I said, when they start possession and making sure we don't make those timely mistakes that lead to a counter and an easy goal. And like you said, that game management. So I'm excited, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're going to wrap things up. Before I do so, I want to thank a couple listeners because we got some ratings on Apple Podcasts. So I want to give a shout out to Herman B99. Thank you for your review, 5 stars. Also, we have Loquito89, 5-star review, and he says to give a special shout out to his boy Alan, who connected him with the podcast. So thank you, Alan. Your homie came through, put in the review. You're next, Alan. You got to put that review too. We'd appreciate it a lot. So thanks for listening, man, and spreading the word. And I think I already read this one by RD. Yeah. So shout out to him. He was the OG review. So thanks to him for being the first. We have 6 5.0 star ratings. So if you don't mind doing us a favor, going on Apple Podcasts and rating us, it'll be duly appreciated. That way, you know, people get more confidence in us. We can show that we have that following growing. Because today, like I said, it was awesome. Like yesterday, I randomly got a message from Hugo, like, hey, they're asking for if you want to go on this radio show. I'm like, oh, snap. All right, cool. So people are listening to us. You know, that's the cool thing, that we're getting out there, and that's important to us. And again, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can follow us on Twitter. That's where I do most of my babbling. On Instagram, and yes, Facebook as well. You can catch our vids on YouTube. So definitely give us a subscribe or follow. We're gonna try and crank as many of these as we can during this window. We have some stuff planned. We'll see if it happens, but we'll be checking in with you guys, because I think this is a critical match window to this process. Right now, it's make it or break it time. That sounds like a good title for this episode. But anyway, also I want to give a shout out to the Calderon family that is trekking it all the way out to the match in Columbus. David, El Gato Volador 503, originally hit me up saying he had some tickets, but he sold them, so good for him. And he says he works for Minnesota United FC as an account executive in ticket sales. All right, cool, man. And he's from Santana and a FAS fan. All right, dos veces perfecto. Good for you, bro. Enjoy the match. Stay warm. Hugo, anything you want to say before we close this one out?
Oh, thank you all. We're gonna try to hopefully record something tomorrow after the match, after the victory. We'll see. We'll see how things go. We'll see how we feel. But yes, it's gonna be a beautiful match. I've done some research on the stadium, and it looks like the stadium has heating under the ground. Seems like it's like top of the line in terms of technology. So even if the temperature is cold, we know we're not going to see that a game like the one they play against Costa Rica where there was snow.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen in Columbus.
Like last thing we ever need in a qualifier is snow and Marrufo as the ref.
It's going to be a good game. And yeah, thank you all for listening to us, for giving us reviews, thumbs up, following us. It's good. Like I told Andres yesterday, well, it feels good to know that people are listening to us.
Yeah.
So
across the aisle.
Yeah. So thank you, and let us know if sometimes if there's like a specific subject that you want us to talk about. Let us know.
Or interviews in Spanish, because we've definitely considered that. We just wanted to keep with our format of coverage in English, but yo hablo español, and so does Hugo, and obviously we'd want to be able to reach out to as many guests as possible. So if y'all don't mind us taking a break from that at any point, let us know. Subtitling is going to be a little tricky unless we found a way of automating that. I know some platforms do it, but it's still something we got to research. But yes, if you would not mind us switching it up, doing like a little Spanish special here and there, just not to drift too far away from our format, let us know, because it'd be great to have some of the OG players from different selecciones of the past, or coaches even. Yeah, let us know if that would be something you'd be interested in, or give us ideas on how we could do that and keep our format as well. Just a quick reminder, the match will be on ESPN2 in English or ESPN Plus, as well as I think it's TUDN in Spanish. Let me confirm that. It'll be on the app, and TUDN Unimas. Yes, just looking it up right now. Yep. So yeah, you'll be able to watch it on many platforms. It's looking like Fubo, Sling, ESPN Plus, the Univision app, all that good stuff. So you'll be able to get that national anthems, and you won't get won't miss the first 5 minutes of the match, as has unfortunately happened with the other ones. But anyway, big warm embrace to all you Salvi fans and Salvi enthusiasts and Selecta fans, even if you're not Salvi, because I know you're out there. But again, we're doing this for fun. We appreciate the support, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Hopefully after a really good performance by the lovely Selecta. All right, everyone, take it easy. Have a good one.